on Africa Independent Television, AIT. I have with me as my guest one of the very few Nigerians who has an Olympic medal. Talking of Chika Chukwumerije. Chika, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's good to be on this show, Callistus.
Well, for many years we'll be talking taekwondo, but let's discuss sports administration in Nigeria. What was your initial take when the minister with other sports stakeholders came out with electoral guidelines for the next election into the various federations?
One, I felt it was courageous of the minister. It takes courage to come out with those kind of sweeping changes. Two, the reaction in the hall was varied. On one side, there was gloominess, there were no smiles. And on the other side, people were happy. One side said it was good that we could move around all the people that have sat tight. And the other side raised the issue of you've flouted international rules. So my take was this. I felt that the intent was very good. And I felt that there must be a handover, when people hold positions, there must be a way others could come in so that the whole country could be brought into play. But also thought that the manner in which it was done was very dangerous. That when you change the rules, just seemingly to target people, we might have long-term repercussions. And I'll explain why. I use the case of Amaju Pinnick. They didn't need to lobby to change CAF rules to remove Issa Hayatu, who had been there forever. What the stakeholders should do is, if you say you want to remove this or that person, don't forget it's people voting for them. So you must canvass harder. You must start lobbying much earlier and saying, let's push for a change. And it's just like in a real fight, just like National Sports Festival. They said, if you are an elite athlete, you shouldn't compete. I said, no. And I'll use myself as a personal example. When I became national champion, I beat someone who had been there for a long time. It was tough, but it was done. So same with the elections. If someone has been there for a long time, then you start your politics, your sports politics, much earlier. You do programs, you show people that you're the change that the sport needs. And that was my initial reaction. But I think I like the way they diplomatically came to the middle, because there was a showdown about to take place between the IOC and the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports. And they had a meeting, and in the interest of stakeholders, they adjusted. So that was very good. So you can never have 100% satisfaction on all ends, but it's very important that the most important thing is sports in general. It moves forward, And it takes me to another issue. For me, the passion with which people want to become board members is not replicated in the manner they invest into that sport. Being a board member should not be a name tag. People's careers are built on it, from the athletes to the professionals, whether it's sports media professionals or the medical sporting professionals. Being on the board is serious business, and anyone that does not have what it takes, then this is the right time for people to speak. Because from my personal experience, what happens is you keep quiet. Oh, this shouldn't run, that shouldn't run. No. If the ex-athletes, ex-internationals do not like the way the sport is run, this election guidelines has been released. It is very clear. Go and talk to all the chairmen, the directors, and lobby them hard on why you being there will make a difference and why they shouldn't vote back that person. This is where you can force the change in a manner that will be legally accepted. So I think it's a process that people must be fully involved in. So personally, I don't have issues with the guideline, because every government that comes issues their own set of guidelines. And the NOC has come in and they've talked and they've come to an agreement. So the rest of the stakeholders take whatever agreement it is and work with it. I will point out one last thing. I remember very clearly during the last elections, they said this will be the final time elections will be conducted by the Federal Ministry of Sport. Well, here we are again. If the federations had sat down and done their constitutions through a proper congress, ratified it through the international bodies, sent copies through the Federal Ministry of Sport, and I think if my memory doesn't fail me, it was one of the requirements. How many federations did it? So after these elections are done, the federations, we can't touch NFF. They've got a very valid constitution. So the federations can go ahead and painstakingly draft their constitution that is in line with the international body, and yet it does not flaunt our laws as the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And it might take 6 months, 1 year, but when you get it done, in 4 years, things will be clearer. People can campaign ahead of time. And since the constitution is going to be ratified by Congress, it's not just going to be a few board members that will do it. Once the whole Congress can agree, then we won't be in this kind of situation where you have aggrieved persons. Because the honest truth is, you do not want aggrieved Nigerians that hold powerful positions on the international bodies. That might lead to sabotage of our national presidents who might be neophytes. So that was my take on the election guidelines as it is.
Well, let's move to another aspect, which also borders on the elections. Each time there is the call for national elections, it's always a battleground. I was of the opinion that what it takes for an election to run is already written out in black and white.
I think it is in black and white, because when you say battleground, is it in terms of the people competing against each other or against the guidelines itself?
Both against the guideline and this sort of acrimony.
One, people want to win, and I don't think it's a bad thing for people to have ambitions. And naturally, everybody wants rules and laws that favors them. When it seems the rules and laws do not favor you, then naturally you're going to resist it. It's a very natural thing. So I don't think we should worry too much about it. Against each other, I don't think the elections anywhere in the world, in any industry whatsoever, where people, even if they smile at each other, I'm sure that their hearts feel very differently. So I think it's a robust process, and the way they've released clear guidelines, it's just important that people re-strategize and you get your message clearly across to the electorate, because you're going to have people that do not fight fair. They're going to release a lot of propaganda, slander. They are going to offer money. They're going to offer all sorts of things that maybe the other side doesn't want to do. And if you are strategizing, you have to put all these things on the table. The goal is to win. So if you have the intent to really change sports, you have to strategize. If some other people do not have the interest of sports in heart, they're also strategizing. So let the person with the best strategy win. So I think it's fair enough, to come out and state what you've done, what you're going to do. For me, clearly, for example, I will use taekwondo as an example. If the expired leadership says I want to come back, I will say, no, you failed. So if you speak a lot and say, oh, I am going to do this, I will say, no, we have a reference point, and we're referencing failure. Failure to qualify for the Olympics, to do all of the All-African Games, to have a constitution, to have board meetings, to take your team along. If you didn't do it for the past 4 years, you won't do it for the next 8 years. So I will take my message to people voting and I'll tell them this. Don't listen to the promises. It failed 4 years ago. And everybody that the Aspire leadership is supporting, don't also vote for them, because they are trying to get the vote. So if you want to go to Tokyo, then listen to people who have done programs that work, you know. And thank God I was in the board, and categorically I say what happened. And that is my way of using the electoral guidelines. So if I talk to a director and he says, what's your position? I'll say, for the next 4 years, this is what we want to achieve. Don't listen to the other man, because the promises of the last 4 years failed. It's clear, it's in black and white. So let the best person win. Let it be open. Do they have financial plans? Because nobody has money. And I'll give an example with NFF. They just secured a deal with ITO. Fantastic. Some people said, wow, but it's just covering salaries. I said it's a good start. Let them secure another major deal that covers athletes' allowances. Let them secure another major deal that covers kitting. Let them secure another major deal that covers training aids and all. And before you know it, they have a lump sum. Why can't the other federations do it? I doubt that Pinnick and all the people around him just sat and the deal fell into their laps. I'm sure there was a lot of calling. I'm sure they wrote to so many organizations, and there was a lot of legwork. So the federations coming in, what are their financial plans? Don't tell me someone is just going to be dashing you money just to get in. No. What are the financial plans? What are your technical plans? Then what are your political plans? Again, I'm going to use taekwondo. There was no progress internationally. The WTF Congress is in 2 months or so. I looked at the list. Ethiopia is going for a position. Niger Republic, Morocco, Egypt. We are nowhere to be found. We've lost out on the continent. We've lost out globally because of failure of leadership. Across the sports, Nigeria must pull its weight. We must get into the international bodies so that we can decide what happened, just like Pinnick did with CAF. So if people say, oh, why always football? But I'm saying, despite the negativities people are pointing out, I'm looking at something positive that was done that other sports could also do. So as these elections come into play, if Nigeria wants to make a difference in Tokyo 2020 and in 2024, we must get these elections right.
Finally, Chika, who is best qualified to administer sports? The ex-athlete, the businessman, or the coach?
I think
who is best positioned to administer sports?
I think it is tough to say. You don't have to be an ex. For example, that I'm an ex-taekwondo Olympian doesn't mean that's why I'm administering taekwondo so well. You know, I had a background in operations management and all that. So you find out that leadership qualities, you pull from here and there. The best person to administer sports is the one that truly can understand all the issues. So if you don't have a sporting background and you come in, how well can you research what the issues are? How well can you pull the best brains to you to offer you the best solutions? How well can you listen to criticisms and adjust? How well can you set performance measurements that you follow that puts you on track? An athlete can do it if he has those qualities, to inspire people, to encourage people, to look for solutions. You don't have money. How do I work around it? For example, in time of EKG, I knew when there were not lots of money, he had a lot of relationships that used to pull in money. I knew when Yakmut was there, what he did to make sure the All African Games, we came out second. You know, I saw Bolaji Abdullahi in place, the way he handled people, even though he didn't have a sporting background, he was trying to pull people together. So none of them were perfect, but they had qualities that, you know, they had qualities that made them have some wins while they were in charge. So I don't think it's a function of were you an ex-athlete or not. What I look at is, can you really be a leader in that field? If you do not have the background knowledge, you need to catch up fast. You don't sleep. Read, talk to people, listen to everyone. if you have a background in that field, then you need to build your operation skills, your leadership skills, every other thing that makes you a team. It is never about a person. The good leaders are the ones that can inspire people to be the best they can be, and you guide them in the direction they should go.
Thank you very much, Chika.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure talking to you once again.
Yes, here's my same here.